What's going on, everybody? Welcome into Front Yard Fantasy. Today, we are talking Dynasty wide receiver trade targets. We got three guys here, and again, if you're still confused as to why I am hosting Front Yard Fantasy, 14 personnel is now Front Yard Fantasy. That includes redraft, Dynasty, everything else we were doing. That all now lives on this channel here. So stay tuned for more coming out as we head into draft season. Before we jump in, though, guys, remember, if you like what we're doing here, like the video, subscribe to Front Yard Fantasy, and then questions, comments, anything you guys have, regarding Dynasty, redraft, whatever it is, drop it in the comments. We love going back and forth with you, all that good stuff. All right, let's get into it. Number one on the list, a sophomore wide receiver that had a phenomenal rookie season and has somehow lost value in Dynasty as far as startups go. That is Devonta Smith. Right now, currently being drafted as the wide receiver 30. And I don't really remember the last time a rookie wide receiver put up 900 yards on 104 targets and then fell in ADP. I don't think it makes a whole lot of sense, right? Typically in Dynasty, you want talent, you'll figure out situation later. And that's exactly what should be happening with Devonta Smith, and it's not. Last season, right, he came in, everybody was excited because he's the true one. His situation is incredible. He balls out. He has a great rookie year. Now, A.J. Brown gets traded for, and everybody's panicking on Devonta Smith, basically ignoring the talent that we know exists already. Again, it's not often rookies put up 900 yards and a 22% target share. And the thing is, you get him at a massive discount. And we just learned it. Situation can change in a season, right? Even if you don't believe in Jalen Hurts, there's not a guarantee he's the quarterback next year. We see how quickly things are changing in the NFL year to year now. And I think fading him because he's the number 2 in this offense is it's a bad idea, right? We get A.J. Brown is a superstar. Devonta Smith was drafted to be a superstar as well. I don't think it's a guarantee that A.J. Brown is better than Devonta Smith the entirety of their careers. This is likely the cheapest you're going to be able to get Devonta Smith for the next 5 or 6 seasons, and it's a guy you should be buying into. Again, he's only 23 years old, and he's coming off of a season where they utilized him as a deep threat as well, around the middle of the field and short and in the red zone. Again, he's 9th in deep targets, 6th in the league in ADOT there, average depth of target. So the role is most likely safe. The player is good. The situation's iffy, and that's when you should be buying in, because when situations change, so do values, even though they probably shouldn't shift this much, right? And when you're looking at, guys going ahead of him, just to kind of really round out the picture of why Devonta Smith is undervalued, Amari Cooper, Jerry Jeudy, Keenan Allen, Rashad Bateman, all 4 of them are going ahead of Devonta Smith right now. Just at a high level, if I could trade Amari Cooper for Devonta Smith, that's a no-brainer, especially with the Watson suspension coming now that it's been appealed. That's not going to go well for Amari this year. Give me the young 23-year-old, potential star wide receiver over Amari Cooper. Jerry Jeudy. Devonta Smith, his one season is better than anything Jeudy has given us in 2 years. The only reason Judy's now going ahead, it has nothing to do with past performance. It has nothing to do with production on the field. It has to do with his quarterback being Russell Wilson. That's the definition of taking situation over proven talent. Again, I think Jeudy can be good and has been held back by injury and quarterback play, but we've seen Devonta Smith do it. Then again, it's likely Jerry Jeudy beats out Devonta Smith this year, but long term, again, you're not playing for one season in Dynasty, right? So I don't really understand that one too much. Keenan Allen, again, if you're going to win now, yeah, take Keenan Allen over Devonta Smith. That's fine. Because, again, Keenan Allen should be a top 15 wideout, and that's likely not in the cards for Devonta Smith this season. So I get that one. And then Rashad Bateman. Rashad Bateman is interesting because we know he's good, but here's the thing. Devonta Smith was better in their rookie seasons, right? And yes, Hollywood is gone. Like I said, A.J. Brown is in. So Devonta moves down the pecking order. Rashad Bateman moves up. But again, we're just kind of buying into situation here. Are we sure that Devonta Smith is, 2-3 rounds better as far as value goes than Devonta Smith? I don't think that's a guarantee. That means right now, people are out there trading Rashad Bateman for Devonta Smith plus. And if that's something you can do, get a second on top, get another, high-end wide receiver like a Jahan Dotson. I think that's a move I'm going to make basically every single time because it's a lateral move as far as talent goes. And that's what you're trying to acquire. Pick up talent. You'll worry about the this points and the scoring, when it comes down to it. Right now, Devonta Smith is a screaming value, whether it's in trades or in startups. Moving on to our next one here, and this is a guy, it's similar to Devonta Smith in that situation has changed and now he has tumbled down in terms of startup value, in terms of trade value, really everything. It is DK Metcalf. And just to, again, paint the picture of what's going on here, Russell Wilson is gone, Drew Lock is in, that's upsetting, right? It's terrifying. DK Metcalf is there for the long term, so what do you do? Well, the thing is, just a year ago, literally July of 2021, DK Metcalf on DLF was being drafted as the number 1 wide receiver in fantasy. He was the wide receiver 1 in ADP. This season, with no changes to his talent, he is going as the wide receiver 11. And again, that's a 10-spot drop because his quarterback changed, not because DK Metcalf got worse at football. There's no change. His target share has increased 20% to 24% to 27%. An elite wide receiver that commands a shit ton of targets. So basically, you're getting arguably the best wide receiver in the league, or one of the best wide receivers in the league. He's not Justin Jefferson. Let me already stop that. But one of the better wide receivers in the NFL for a massive discount. And here's the thing. When the Seahawks kick Drew Lock to the curb and draft a superstar quarterback potentially, and a Bryce Young, a CJ Stroud potentially, DK Metcalf's going to rise back up rankings. It's going to happen. So why not buy in right now? Take your lumps for 2021. It's not going to be fun. Or for 2022. It's not going to be fun. But afterwards, again, in Dynasty, if it's a league that's going to exist for 5-10 years, you're going to come out ahead, year over year. And again, do I think DK Metcalf is, a top 15 wide receiver this season? I don't, right? Again, he's not a win now move type of guy for me. But still, if you can get a guy that people valued as the wide receiver 1 just on a talent basis, and you can get him at wide receiver 11, it's a no-brainer for me, right? Situation changes quickly. We saw it with Devonta Smith. We saw it with DK Metcalf this year. Who knows what's going on? Even in a month, if they bring in Jimmy G, DK Metcalf's value is going to rise. So it's basically an auto guarantee that he's going to be drafted and valued higher than wide receiver 11. Just looking at some of the trades, from DLF and their trade finder, these are real trades that have taken place. Jerry Jeudy and Josh Jacobs for DK Metcalf. Yes, that's a long-term trade. Jerry Jeudy, like I said, is a question mark. We don't know if he's good. I think he is. We don't know. And then Josh Jacobs, the Raiders just declined his 5th-year option. Running backs heading into their second contract are essentially wild cards, and Josh Jacobs, on a points per game basis, really isn't all that exciting. Probably a back-end wide receiver 2 this year. I'll give up both those for a guy that I think can be a top 5 wide receiver as soon as he gets his next quarterback in 2023. Another one here, DK Metcalf for his running back, Kenneth Walker. It's weird. It's a weird trade because Kenneth Walker, I don't think, does very well this season with Rashad Penny and, again, the same reason DK is going to do bad, a terrible quarterback and a bad offense. So I think Kenneth Walker dips in value. But again, it's weird. That's a depth trade, I guess. If you don't have running back depth, fine, go ahead and make it. I still prefer DK Metcalf to Kenneth Walker in most scenarios, but you understand the value. The last one here, this is just for future draft picks. DK Metcalf for a mid-2023 first and a mid-2023 second. Yes. We know DK Metcalf is talented, and this is in a 1-quarterback league, not a super flex, so that's very important when you're talking 2023 picks. I'll gladly take the mid-first, or I'll gladly take DK over the mid-first. It's a wild card. You're basically hoping to draft somebody that's as good as DK Metcalf. Why not just take DK Metcalf, right? I mean, that seems easy. That seems like the smart thing to do. And our last guy here, one that's starting to build buzz throughout training camp with a second-year quarterback. It is Brandon Aiyuk. the quote-unquote forgotten wide receiver of the 49ers with the new Debo contract and all the hype and everything else going on there. Brandon Aiyuk has quietly become one of the bigger values in Dynasty. Again, we saw what he did his rookie season when Debo was hurt and Kittle was hurt, right? It was all circumstance. And then last year, starts in the doghouse, just a whole bunch of crap, and it was terrible. And then over the second half of the season, he's the wide receiver 16. Brandon Aiyuk is talented. I don't think there's any question. And now he gets a quarterback that fits his skill set so much better than Jimmy G ever did. And like I said, situation can change. But for the foreseeable future, Trey Lance is Brandon Aiyuk's quarterback, and that bodes well for Brandon Aiyuk. That should open up the offense, the ability to actually take deep shots. You don't have to throw screens to Debo every single play because he doesn't have a noodle arm and he has a rocket attached to his shoulder, basically. Trey Lance fits better. And the cost to get Brandon Aiyuk, at least right now, is dirt cheap. You're looking at wide receiver 40. That's a wide receiver 4 for a guy that has been a top 20 wide receiver for stretches back-to-back seasons now. So again, the fit is a lot better, and yes, situation can change, but Aiyuk as the 2 there as the field stretcher for a guy that should have a great season with Trey Lance. So again, we're going to do the same thing we did with DK. Let's look at 3 trades here, and just to really highlight how cheap he is going. Jahan Dotson and KJ Osborne. The wide receiver 2 for Carson Wentz, and the wide receiver 3 for Kirk Cousins for Brandon Aiyuk, who has proven he is talented. Back-to-back seasons now. I'll take Aiyuk. I like that offense a lot better. I like the player more than Dotson or KJ Osborne. Those are 2 wild cards, right? And Dotson does have the first round NFL draft capital. I get that, but I think Aiyuk's going to end up being better than him anyways. So I'll gladly take Aiyuk by a pretty comfortable margin there. This next one is just disrespectful. Khalil Herbert, the backup running back for the Chicago Bears, and a 2023 second. In a 1-quarterback league. Why? That's a stupid trade. Whoever made it, I'm sorry, that's a bad trade. Take Brandon Aiyuk, take the known talent with the potential, star quarterback in the making, like we all hope. I think Brandon Ayuk's the easy choice there. And then this one, Brandon Aiyuk for Damian Harris. This took place 3 days ago. After the Ramondre Stevenson reports have come out that he's running with the ones, he's quote-unquote the lead back for right now. It's just Brandon Aiyuk for a running back you're about to be able to get on waivers in a year or two. That's easy. Take Aiyuk. At least from a strategy standpoint, he has more years of guaranteed value. Damian Harris could disappear after hitting free agency at the end of the season. Who knows? I think that's too much risk. Take back the wide receiver and cash out on Damian Harris. All right, guys, that is all we have for you. Again, if you like what we're doing, you have more, dynasty questions, redraft questions, trade advice, any of that stuff, drop it down in the comments. We'll get back to you as soon as we can on all that stuff. As always, thank you for watching, and we will see you next time.